Hey guys, thanks for coming for our next session. Our next session right now is going to be about because you can't pay rent with free products. A do-it-yourself guide to finding and navigating deals. If you're a content creator, you know that you get free product all day long and it doesn't pay rent. And it's going to help you pay your cell phone bills and your internet bills and all the other stuff that you need to do on a monthly basis. So, we have an awesome panel. We have 5 people. We have one person who we've lost, but she'll be here. We have Kasia, Mazad, Diego, Peggy, and Ely. And I'm going to let everyone has a very unique background. Some people come from a creation background, from a talent management side background, from a little bit of both, the marketing side. So if everyone could give me an intro, who you are, what you're about, and if you're a content creator, what kind of content do you create? Start at the far end and go this way.
Okay, cool. Hey, so my name is Diego Vargas. I actually started as a creator about 8 years ago on social media. I was able to build multiple meme pages on Instagram. And it kind of, because I started so early, it built that snowball effect and got the attention of a lot of celebrities and later on social media influencers who started following me. My following on Instagram throughout my network of accounts, me and my partners actually, was able to grow drastically up until like 50-something million total followers throughout multiple niche accounts in different sectors. And after 8 years of doing social media and doing Instagram in general and selling sponsored posts, and connecting with a lot of celebrities and influencers, we decided to start a marketing agency to help influencers make more money and connecting brands with the right influencers because we are so passionate about like influencer marketing in general. So that's my background. That's a little bit about me.
When you started when you were really young, right?
Yeah, I started in middle school, 8th grade.
Wow. All right. Kasia?
That's so cool. Hey guys, I'm Kasia. I really like hearing myself talk, so this is exciting. I'm on Instagram. This is me. Feel free to follow me. I own Harlow Casting, so I'm actually on both sides. I do a lot of casting I do a lot of commercials lately, which is awesome, and a lot of that has kind of merged with the world of influencers, where brands are wanting influencers in commercials as well. And then I also am an actress and an influencer as well, so I'm everywhere. You can't miss me.
Ely?
Hi, my name is Ely. I flew 24 hours from Singapore to be here. So
wow.
I'm completely jet lagged. It's a 15-hour time difference, so if I fall asleep halfway, forgive me. I've been on quite a journey. I left the US in 2001. I've been in many countries living across Asia. I've been on the brand side, working with the likes of Estee Lauder. And also on the platform side, I was previously the VP for Amazon China, based out of Beijing. And most recently, I'm in my second startup in what we call inclusive beauty for consumers living in Southeast Asia. So do follow me at ForMeGlamSG, SG as in Singapore, which is where I am, and it's not in China. And that's it. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Mazad. I'm the Director of Talent over at Fullscreen Media, which is under Otter Media. I oversee our talent management, what we call our 360 team, where we represent content creators in all areas, whether that's film, television, books, podcasts. A lot of our talent are social first. And my background actually is in traditional film and television. Before this, I worked at a company called Red Wagon that produced The Great Gatsby, Divergent, Insurgent, and before that, started my career at a company called Industry Entertainment, where I worked with writers and directors, and I've been at Fullscreen for almost 5 years.
Hi, I'm Granny Potty Mouth. For real. And my real name is Peggy. In my prior couple or 3 careers, I focused 100% on customer service. My last job before I sold my business and retired was owning a bookstore for firefighters. The very best, most loyal, and most appreciative customer base I've ever encountered. I sold it in 2008, fully retired from the company in 2010, and moved to Los Angeles after I fell in love, and I always wanted to be a background actor, I thought. Till I did that for a couple of 3 gigs and decided that that was not the kind of treatment that I thought I deserved. But I've been listening and I've been living for a number of years, and I thought, well, I'll do student films and I'll do free stuff. And a free thing that I did for PETA, P-E-T-A, ended up going super mega viral. It was called Toe Fuckin', which was making a vegan turducken out of tofu, so they called it Toe Fuckin'. And from that, I thought, well, geez, I might as well take this Granny Potty Mouth and do a YouTube thing. Why not? I've been an entrepreneur before. I can do this. And I'm 6 years into it, I think. And I've been acting all along. I've done commercials. I have a general commercial running right now. It's hard to recognize me, but you will. And I'm actually working on my exit strategy from the YouTube world because I'm in their sandbox and they don't like me. And fine, I'll go to another sandbox.
Yeah.
Monetization is a big deal, especially on different platforms. You know, based on your content, you may not be able to monetize on those platforms. So, actually, that means that earning money in other ways is more and more important. So,
I got me a list right here.
Nice. So, I'm Mike Prasad. I'm the founder of Tiny Sponsor. So, thank you all for coming, and thank you to our awesome panelists. I want to start with Mazad because on the talent side, your job is to basically help develop your talent and help them find deals. Mm-hmm. So one of the biggest problems I think people run into is trying to find the right deal for them as a talent or as a creator. Mm-hmm. And we found that also on our end, when the match between the creator and the talent and the brand is really good, then they're willing to pay money. And when it's not, it's kind of like, here's some products, see what happens, whatever. Mm-hmm. So from your point of view, how do you approach defining what is a good opportunity for your talent?
Well, I think revenue is always very important. I think, you know, if you're working with a brand in exchange for a free product, I think you should only do that when you want to establish and build a relationship with a brand. I think it's really important to work with brands depending on your content that are going to be organic, right, to your content, and make sure that like it's your audience, it makes sense for your audience too. I think those are always going to be the best brands to work with. I think more and more on my end, we're seeing a lot of brands reaching out to content creators who are looking at the content creators to tell them how they should be, you know, integrating the brands into their content, which I think is really important. So we've come a long way in that sense. That's
definitely a new trend. I remember years ago, it was always about having the creator pitch the brand. Like Famebit was really well known for that. And that really wasn't the right choice, because really what you're saying is that it's about how well the brand fits the creator, not the other way around.
Right. Absolutely.
So, Kasha.
Hi.
Casting side, on your own content side, you have a very unique style. How do you find, and what would you define that style as? And then how do you, give me some example brands that fit that you think are a really good fit for you?
Sure. I would say that I'm like very colorful, modern pinup. And obviously I'm very, very specific. I'm also a size 12. So some brands love me and I'm spot on and they think I'm so cool, and some brands want nothing to do with me. So for me, a lot of, for instance, like Benefit Cosmetics, I've worked with them, have something coming out with them. They're super great. They love doing things with people who are different. And then also like a lot of, you know, Unique Vintage, those sorts of brands that are very into the sort of pinup thing. But I think for me, and for anyone that is really specific, you just kind of have to be like, all right, this is me, be super dialed into your thing, and the right brands will come. And the wrong ones, you won't see them anyway.
Do you find it easier job when approaching or talking to brands that, based on how much of a fit they are with you, in negotiating either more money or converting from just product to cash?
I mean, the thing is when you're really, really specific, if someone is interested in you, they really, really want you. So you can use that to make some money.
So in terms of like finding the right deal, I'll summarize by saying, if you know who you are as a creator, what you're about, what your audience follows you for, you can take that key point and then use that to then go out to brand and say, this is why I'm good, this is what I'm specialized, I'm unique for, and then you should be able to command the right price.
Exactly. And it's also really easy to figure out who my demographic is by looking at my page. So if you're trying to target those people, I gotcha.
So Granny, as a creator on the panel, you have an awesome style, highly engaging content, awesome fan base, but because you're dealing with you have some vulgarity in the words. You have some off. Well,
not vulgarity, cussing.
Cussing. No, there's a very clear difference.
Big difference, very big difference.
So nothing you do is mean or negative or in bad taste. It's always comedic and it's always very funny and appropriate. But it still falls in this category of a little bit maybe on the borderline of brand safety for a lot of brands that want to work with you. So how have you navigated that? And we're talking about direct deals, not like YouTube, for example.
Because I'm not brand safe, I'm also not platform safe. And if they're not going to make any money on my content, they're not going to push it out. So I enlisted Keenan right here. He's got a box full of business cards, this little list of things I've done to engage with my fans and make them know that I really care about them and they're part of my life and that I'm willing to be engaged with them. Other ways that I connect with them that are all small revenue streams. There's a video greeting card two video greeting card services. There's a new app called Chatalize. All of these are on this list. I have merch. I have this merch that I designed. This is my favorite saying. This is going to be the tits. My husband wears this t-shirt all the time and he gets a lot of questions about it. Because he doesn't have them, you know?
So you found...
I've also... Early on, when YouTube did love me, and I did a video called Fast as Fuck Fried Rice. Because my brand, I make really good food that's almost everybody will like, that's inexpensive and quick to fix. And I thought, well, in my brand, that's fast as fuck. It's not quick and easy or 5-minute meals. It's fast as fuck. So that video on YouTube went viral to over 1 million views in 23 days, and that netted me a cookbook deal.
Wow! Yes!
Granny Potty Mouth's Fast as Cookbook. They realized that in the book world, they could not use the U, they had to use an asterisk. So what I strategized, and I did this when I owned my bookstore. I knew I needed an exit strategy. I needed to know where was I going to go when this journey was as far as I could go with it. And you can start passing that box. There's one of these with a list in it of all the things. I grossly underestimated the size of this audience. So if you do not get one, put your card in the box when it comes around. And put your card in the box anyway if you have one. Somebody's going to get this cookbook before we're done. All right, so I realized that I came into this acting. Remember, Kasia? I did that thing for PETA. I was an actor. That's how I came into this whole YouTube space, this digital creator space. Why can't I go full circle back to that? I went full circle from being a book publisher to a bookstore owner to a book author with a legit publisher. This isn't a cookbook I published. Some legit publisher paid me in advance, which I've already earned back, to write this cookbook. So, but I did not want to lose the connection. I'm everybody's favorite granny with really good advice, and they don't want to lose me. So what few people still see my videos, and I got an email list because I now own those names. It's not Facebook, it's not YouTube, it's not Twitter or Instagram. I own those names and I can communicate with them directly and they know it's coming from me. I started a Patreon. There's so many other ways to get your hardcore fans into the funnel they talk about, right? And whether they've got $1 a month or $25 a month or $100 a month or 10 minutes or an hour or two, you'll find them in your funnel somewhere and communicate with them. Give them good customer service and make them know that you care.
So you've done a really good job at finding your own deals. So not necessarily brand sponsorships, but saying, I'm going to find my own products, my own ways to monetize because you can't monetize in the standard ways, which is really interesting. I think as a creator, you have to find multiple streams of revenue It can't just be brand deals all day long, especially if you're building an audience. You said you're coming full circle, having your audience that you've now grown as a creator. Then when you go back to doing, let's say, as an actress, you're going to have an audience that follows you, and that's going to be an asset. And
that's actually where I was going with that. Thanks, you're awesome. Because I was an actor who did this iconic thing, which created this channel, which now has all these followers. I now have a manager who is out there targeting the brands I talked about. For example, Holy Crap Cereal. This is a legit cereal brand to help you be more regular. Holy crap! I swear to you, holy crap is something I say in my videos all the time because it's just something I've said since I was a little girl and couldn't say shit. I could say crap. My family would allow that. I want to be their Mr. Whipple or Clara Peller or Flo. And now that I have a manager and I have the brand and I have the following and my people see me in the general commercial, it all adds up. And I don't know, I may well be doing this when poor BW is no longer with us because I like to think my hair is almost as pretty as hers.
So, talked a lot on the creator side, lots of ways to monetize. It's really about, I think on every case, it's all about finding the right match for your audience and what you do. Now, let's talk about the other side of the table. So, Diego and Ely, tell us about when you're working with creators and when you're trying to find the right matches and the right deals, what's the approach you take and what are the factors that matter to you?
So just leveraging on what you just said, which is the funnel. I think if you have an established brand equity, it's easier for you to figure out which brands you want to work with and have an agent to reach out to him or her. But I think if you're just starting out, this is what I love about this whole influencer marketing evolution. I don't see influencer marketing as a new distribution model. I actually see it as a way to empower more financial freedom for women that may not have access to such financial freedom before. So, being able to go out at night to perhaps your city is not so safe, or perhaps you're in a culture like Saudi Arabia, for example, that you just can't work or your husband doesn't want you to work. You still have a way to monetize and build your financial freedom, your little nest egg. So the point I was trying to say is if you're just starting out, there really is a place for everyone in this funnel. If you have a large follower base, you are basically at the top of the funnel, right? You're going to be helping brands build their awareness. You're going to be talking about things around brand equity. Whereas if you're smaller, it doesn't mean that you don't have a place. You just need to focus on understanding who are your followers and how do you go about engaging them. And this is the other thing that brands look at. But ultimately, if you're a really small niche brand and you're trying to break out, you're looking for smaller influencers that help them convert. And conversion is really an interesting game. You don't really need to have millions of followers to convert. Let me just give you an example from Asia, if you don't mind. So in Singapore, tiny little country with 5 million people, the average influencer, if you look at the pyramid, has about 20,000 followers, okay? That's not considered big. However, what is interesting is there are some influencers that have found a way to have recurring passive income. So without having to look for deals every month or every few weeks, they have managed to find a way to get, on average, the successful case studies, about $16,000 to $20,000 a month. So there are ways to have recurring revenue. Not everyone does it, but what I want to do is really use my platform for Me Glam to really empower more women and find more ways for them to get passive income on a regular basis. Let's go to China, right? So China is a completely different ball game, or even Korea. I think they've done some certain things really, really well. In Korea, the whole live TV, I think it's like Instagram TV over here, it's very, very sophisticated. So we have seen influencers with relatively small base, 10 to 20,000 people, who literally publish it on their bio link. On Monday, I'll be talking about item A. On Tuesday, I'm going to be talking about brand Z. So it's almost like QVC, but in a very systematic way. So if you're interested in this, there are ways that the fans would just engage you on different days. So really being systematic about your approach makes sense. China is interesting. You know, we have, I think I look at influencers as those that help us build brands, but also influencers that help us convert. So there are folks that with no such big following, doesn't look particularly fancy, but really just very relatable. And I've seen influencers who go on live Taobao Live, 5 hours a day, just talking about 60 SKUs, almost like QVC, like I just said. And they're able to generate sales consistently of $1 million a day. So just understanding, you know, where you fit in this whole spectrum is really key.
So one thing that's interesting about that is that's largely affiliate-driven and sales-driven versus an upfront brand sponsorship deal, which is a different format. So we talked about 3 formats so far. We talked about this idea of a brand sponsors you to create content upfront. It's a flat rate. You get you do some amount of deliverables, a post or some stories, and then that's upfront payment. What you're talking about is driving sales through links and getting essentially residual income, continuous income, but it's going to be a percentage of that sale, but nothing upfront. And what's interesting about Asia is that the platforms there have a lot of built-in tools for that.
Right.
In the US, there's very limited opportunity. The best you can do is an Instagram story with a link if you're over 10,000 followers or verified. That said, Instagram's recently been testing out the ability for content creators, influencers to link out items from other brand accounts that goes directly into e-commerce purchasing. They're testing it right now with some celebrities, and that might be an eventual way for content creators to directly tag a product in their posts, have that go to a click-through where they're going to get a revenue share off of that sale. Something that's being experimented with. In the US, there's very limited platforms to do that because there's this thing called attribution where if someone sees, like if Kasha does a really awesome makeup look or something, she can mention her product, but the only way they're going to know it came from her is if someone clicked on a specific link, which may only exist in the story, and someone that heard it from her, saw it at the store later on, or bought it 2 weeks later, she wouldn't get credit for that. And so in China, it's much more integrated, which is really, really interesting. So, Diego, for your creators, and your creators, the people the celebrities you've worked with, and also the brands you've worked with, are you doing mostly, is it more endorsement and upfront payment in terms of a sponsorship? Yeah. So how does that work? How do you choose and how do you find the right match for your clients?
I mean, there's so many different variables because, to be honest, like, it all depends on the brand, like our brand partners and their goals for the project campaign that they're trying to push. You know, the product, and we're really huge on data. So nowadays you have nano influencers, micro influencers, macro influencers, celebrities. The variables that I'm referring to now, it's like budget, who are you trying to like, who do you want, you know, to push your product onto? Who is your consumer? And then who has, like, what influencer, what creator has the audience that you're looking for, and the same, like, not only the audience, but like has the same beliefs in the mission you're trying to, you know, to push out there. Because one thing is having a big audience, the other thing is having an engaged audience with the influencer itself. And if they're already sharing those similar beliefs, whether it's makeup or eating healthy, then that all plays a role. Because like if there's people on the internet that are engaging with their audience on being organic and healthy and etc., like they wouldn't want to be the type of people to promote, you know, gummy bears for etc. Like that helps you with your hair, whatever the case it is, regardless of their following. So it's like a lot of data. We really look into data before pushing out any products or campaigns to our creators, and we want to make sure it aligns with like our brand partners and their mission to bring awareness to their product. That's
a really good point. This idea, a Tiny Sponsor, where we work is we ask creators to come to our website. They create packages based on what they create. So it might be let's say like Kasha does a really cool, colorful look, and that could be a package with set of deliverables on a specific platform. And we use a lot of data on our end as well. And so what you're saying is that finding the right match, not just on the engagement numbers, but also other metrics that are more qualitative. Yeah, a lot more, like relevancy is important, you know? Not only, like, we don't want creators, even if they fit the product and brand we're trying to like push, we don't want creators who are only on Instagram once every 3 months.
because they're not engaging with their audience, so they don't have that human interaction and personal connection with the audience, meaning it's going to convert a lot less than it would if you're very engaging with them and constantly responding to DMs and liking comments and actually feeling like they have a friend online. And then relevancy in the space of the brand and like what their mission is.
So
you know?
it's also expertise, right? If I'm saying, if I'm known for food and I'm like, I really know the best restaurants and I go to a restaurant and post about it, that's going to have expertise. But if someone else posts about that, isn't known for that, it might be like, whatever, right?
Yeah, like there's restaurants out there that invite food bloggers to come and eat for free in exchange for like a story post, but they won't invite someone who's posting about fitness or just comedy videos online because it doesn't resonate with like, you know,
So
their-
there's this idea called resonance that we put together in one of our metrics, which is looking at alignment, both qualitative and quantitative, between the creator, their content, their audience, and the brand and the brand's product. And the idea is that if there's a lot of alignment between the same values, the same styles, and that all the way through on all those levels, there's resonance there. And that's the number one metric we see for conversion, in the sense that it actually indicates if you have the same data, the same engagement rate, the same price, the same everything, the person with the most resonance is actually going to have the most conversion, which goes back to exactly what you're saying, which is that qualitative context is everything.
For sure, and it's because people are numb to advertising nowadays. Like you see advertisings everywhere. So having someone who already aligns to, you know, perfectly with the style, content, and everything, audience, it feels less of an advertisement when they're pushing a product. It's more organic, and fans love that. You know, people hate scrolling down Instagram or Facebook and seeing ads after ads after ads. We're numb to that.
So talk about that. It's formats, right? Like content integration. So, Mazad, with your talent, you have some pretty big talent, and they're not just going to post like check this product out. Like what they're doing has to have a certain format, and those formats will have different conversion goals and outcomes based on, you know, is it an Instagram story with a link in it? Is it going to be an IGTV? Is it going to be a YouTube video? And then it can just also feel like an ad. So how do you approach? Give us some examples of how you pitch brands and sponsors on a specific type of package for a specific goal, and how that is native to your example talent.
Sure. I mean, I think it varies, right? I think in certain situations you're going to be reactive when a brand has a specific RFP or a campaign objective. I think you have a little bit less wiggle room, right, if you're going to work with that brand. I think for me, the most important thing is starting off by educating the brands, like on my client, and showing them some of the successes that they've had in the past and their engagement rate, and showing that if the more organic they are to the content, like the higher, right, the engagement is, I think, on the brand side as well. I think always what we try to focus on doing are these like 30 to 60 second integrations in their content, and like not doing it in the beginning of the video and kind of focusing on doing it in the middle, because I think, again, you want to be authentic to your audience and you want to relate it to the content.
So you're using the first part of the content to engage the audience and then bringing the brand in secondary.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's interesting. When you're looking at the deal packaging, so when you go to a sponsor, great, we agreed on this concept, we're going to put your product in this 60-second spot. What are the sets of deliverables that you're mapping back to? Is it just that integration is a number of mentions and a number of tagging? Like what's the measurement that they're looking for in terms of deliverables, not counting performance?
You mean from the brand side?
From the brand side,
Yeah, it's usually what we try to focus on is doing this, like the integrations on the channel itself, right? On that specific video. We try to stay away from doing any additional deliverables, like try to stay away from platforms and things like that, like Twitter and Instagram. So again, I keep saying the word organic, but I think that's the most important thing, is to make sure that it's very seamless to their content. So again, doing like, whether it's like a SeatGeek, right? You're doing a 30 to second or 60-second integration where you put a ticket link at the bottom of their description, and that's as simple as we try to keep it.
Okay. And so really it's about saying, okay, my talent does this weekly video, this common series of content, and it would be a great insertion option for this type of product here. It actually kind of, that content is not really built around the sponsor per se, it's really built around the creator and their regular content, and just has the integration as a natural fit, versus you're not creating new content all the time just for the brand.
No, you need to work with brands that really make sense when it comes to the content itself. And like brands have now stayed away from doing dedicated pieces of content because it just doesn't make sense. And so just to what you said, I think that's the most important thing, is to make sure that it like makes sense with the creative.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's the right way, because we've seen that as well, which is the more the content is what the audience wants, and the more the brand supports that, whether it's, hey, this content was made because this brand supported us, or this content is part of the brand, of this brand is part of the content, the more the fans seem to get behind the brand, because it's like, hey, you're supporting a creator that I love, so I'm going to support the brand. And there's a lot of overlap there, as long as it's relevant, right? So, Kasia,
Hello.
some of the deals that you've gotten, how do you source them? How have you sourced them?
Honestly, I normally have them come to me. I've been really busy with my company, so I haven't done a lot of cold reach outs, but I have a friend. I'm not going to say who she is, but she has absolutely no fear in going ahead and just reaching out to brands that she likes, that she wants to work with. And she makes great content, and she gets deals all the time just by cold calling. I have so much respect for her.
I was going to say, on that note, I think that's really important because, you know, when you think about like the traditional film and TV world, like you would never get cast in something without sitting down with the producer, right, or building a relationship. And so I think no matter how big or small you are, I think developing a relationship with the brand from the get-go is really important. And don't be afraid to DM a brand or reach out or try to figure out an organic way to integrate them in their content, even if they're not sponsoring you. Because again, I think building those relationships from the get-go, I think will lead to bigger opportunities too.
Absolutely. And if you're reaching out to a brand because you love their product and you want to work with them, then they probably want to work with you too, because it's real and it's natural and it's something that you actually like. So you'll probably find a good way to integrate it in a way that's not just, you know, throwing it in there because you're getting paid to throw it in there.
So
Can I add to that?
Please.
I've been on a 3-year campaign to get big-ass fans to have me come in and at least do their brand or company to dealer new products for the next year kind of thing. And I first found out about big ass fans because I was at a music festival in the middle of Texas, literally the middle of Texas, in this big old barn thing, and there was a fan that literally would cool down the whole area. The blades must be
a literal big ass
right.
fan. Okay.
And ever since I saw that one and found out the name of it and contacted the company, now I go everywhere and I see these big ass fans. If you go to the corner of, you know where the Peterson Museum is? Well, there's an apartment building very near there, and you can see the gym. And up in the top of the gym is one of these great big fans. So now, every time I'm somewhere that I was in Maui 2 weeks ago, and I saw one in the middle of an eating establishment. So I took a picture of it, and I tweeted it to big-ass fans. And I keep doing that on a regular basis. I found another big-ass fan in this great-ass restaurant. You know, and so one of these days, if not them, someone else will pay attention to the fact that I'm not afraid to just use a little bit of something other than sweet and pretty.
So I want to wrap up this idea of approaching or finding deals, right? What are, for everybody, what are some things that either you look for or you communicate when you're going out, besides the fact that like, oh, I have X amount of followers and I'm in beauty or I'm in gaming or I'm in tech? Besides just a generalization of you as a person, what are the details that matter in communicating with a potential brand, or as a brand, what are the details that you want to look for when looking for a potential sponsor, potential creator that is useful in being specific and finding that right match? Is it like, I use an example for me, like I specifically go to restaurants and I'll do live cast with the chef. That's a very specific thing I do. I talk up the menu. It's not just I have a following in food, it's that I actually will do a live cast exploring a brand new restaurant. And so it's a very specific type of offering. For you guys, what are some things that you communicate? It could be your follower count, it could be a type of post or a format, it could also be something about you that makes you unique that is useful in closing deals.
Yeah, so for me, for example, one thing I communicate with brand partners or potential brand partners that I meet at events or sent through referrals is the fact that through our network of creators, we have access to reaching up to 1 billion people on social platforms. And And the other thing that's really key in communication when potentially doing business together is finding out what their objectives are and what their goals are to, because sometimes we can't just push anything, services, real estate services we can't do with influencers. It's not something that I would recommend a real estate agency to, work with influencers for. But yeah, that's me, And then the other thing actually that I communicate to potential brand partners is the fact that I've been involved in the community for 8 years myself, creating social media accounts and meme pages and collaborating with some of the industry leaders on some of the creators and industry leaders in social media, and how we've built those relationships for so long, and it's given us access to getting them at a discounted rate than most agencies who are popping out of nowhere.
So you're talking about reach and rate, essentially the two key things that you're communicating.
Yeah.
Okay. Kasha?
Well, for me, obviously, I have a very specific aesthetic, and my content's all very, very colorful, and my personality, as I am a comic, I'm very honest and real and like relatable, so I'll say the things like, for instance, I'm always talking about how, my boyfriend has to help me zip into my dresses because I can't do it myself. I have a very curvy body. I'll snap buttons. Like, people love that. People love to hear that instead of just boring, very cliche, like, this is the product. I love it. It makes my skin feel nice. People love to hear the real stuff. Like, I had some pimples and now they're better and I felt crappy about it and now I feel good. And just like the more real stuff, the more relatable things. So I give that in my post with like a comedic edge that people can laugh and be like, oh my God, me too. I was thinking the same thing. So I love to bring that to the table.
So personal relationship and style.
Yeah, authenticity and personal relationship. Like, people comment and they're like, oh my God, I was thinking that too. I felt that too. You made me feel better about this because I didn't ever talk to anyone about it before. And here you are talking about it to, 40,000 people. And I think that's why I have the success as I do on social media, is because people are like, yeah, same.
So for me, I'm looking for a partner that actually really knows her audience. I mean, nowadays there's so many ways for you to really understand perhaps the followers even better than the creator herself. We use, for example, artificial intelligence. We know for each creator that we work with what's the followers' age distribution, the gender distribution, the percentage that's real versus fakes. So this is something, and then one of the challenges that we have is we're trying to drive up engagement, but we also know that there's a lot of pods that's being used. So we want to also identify which are true engagement versus, just pod engagements. And then from there, the fit is really important. So we want a creator that really understands what kind of content, at what time that's being posted will resonate with her fan base. Just to give you an example, in Thailand, for example, the engagement rate goes through the roof on a Wednesday and on a Thursday at around 3 p.m. when we're experiencing the afternoon slump. So we understand that, and if you as a creator doesn't realize that, then I think it just tells us that we need to possibly work with someone else. And it varies very much country by country.
We're running out of time. I have 2 quick answers from you two, and then we'll do 2 quick questions, and we'll wrap it up.
For me, I think it's what's really unique and different about you, right? And what's your point of view on the world. I think that's really an important approach to take. I have a client specifically, I'll give an example, where she's not very big on Instagram, doesn't have a YouTube following, but she's an activist and an author and a performer, and she writes these like beautiful spoken word poems. And I've been approaching brands with, she can create, a 2-minute piece for you, and now she's worked with Philosophy and a lot of other big brands, high-end brands, and that really came out of her having a very unique point of view.
Okay.
I don't talk about anything in my videos or my live sessions that I don't use or believe in or 100%, it's just part of my life. And I also I'm not afraid to fail. If I try a recipe and it doesn't work, what's the worst you're going to do? A peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? So I try to encourage my people, my fans, if they're cooking something and they make a mistake. We did a video where I did this amazing thing and I forgot to put the spices in, but it was still good. It was still good. It doesn't mean you have to throw it away, but if it wasn't good, if I doubled up the spices and went, oh, that doesn't work, well, that makes for a fun video too. So I encourage them to follow, you know, by saying in my videos, if you like it, it goes in. If not, fuck it.
So,
Choice. Everybody has a choice, and I want them to be empowered to use their own choice. And where's my box, by the way? How far has it gone? All right, keep it going, or nobody's going to get a cookbook.
so we get I'll do three quick tips. One, pricing matters. Make sure that you're charging the right price, and it's actually relevant to not your follower count, but also your engagement. Package your offerings as much as you can. Know what you're good for in terms of content creation and style, and know what you're delivering, and be able to present someone with that. They may not buy it at that rate, but at least it'll set your standard. And then the last one is if you have any questions on calculations, on Instagram, you can check out tinysponsor.com/calculator to get an estimate of your media value. We also have a white paper, which is available in the back, which will help you navigate deals as well. I want to do like two really quick questions because we're running out of time, starting with the guy in the blue shirt up front.
This is specifically about micro-influencers. So can somebody or all of you throw in when a micro-influencer is kind of really on this low end, which is like 10,000 followers in one of the social medias, how do you suggest that they kind of step into where they're asking for money instead of just getting a free product?
Well, 10K doesn't necessarily mean like just 10K, because there are people that have 10K, but their engagement is way higher than someone else who might have 100K. So depending on who it is, like that 10K could actually really have a lot of value.
I think relevance. We have people that have 10K on our platform that get paid $100 a post. Yeah.
My question was, though, that's fine, because like I have 7% engagement on Instagram, which I think is okay.
Yeah.
But it's like, how do you step from, okay, now I've grown to this point, and how do you say, okay, well, now I'd like it, I use your product, but I'd also like $200 or whatever.
You just tell them.
Yeah.
Let them know you want to get paid.
Yeah. The squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Yeah, also, I'd say add stories. So don't make it just a post. Say it's a post, and I'll do 2 stories. Those 2 stories will have a link to your product, and you can track that. That's why, for me to do all these specific things, that's why you're paying me versus just giving me a product. Because I'm not going to link something and drive you affiliate sales and all this other stuff if I'm not being paid for it. Martine? Yeah.
So just to kind of build on what he's saying, I'm finding that a lot of companies are using the like, oh, you can be our ambassador for a company, and then they're sending out a lot of products. We know it's not a new thing. To kind of build on what he said, like, and what I believe, Fabian, what you might have mentioned, which was like, take the product, work with the companies that are not willing to pay you, and see if you can create a relationship from that. On the one side, I'm personally very conflicted with that because I'm like, I worked really hard to get where I am, and I want to work with you, and if that's like, they're just turning to you and being like, this is like all we're prepared to give you, do you then still think it's a good idea to go to that company and see if you can build that relationship?
Yeah.
Or do you know, if it's a company that you can see yourself working with in the future, I'm like,
I personally think if you and the company like have the same vision and your content aligns with their brand, and it won't affect your audience. Like you're not gonna lose followers or subscribers because you're promoting it, because it aligns with what you're already posting on Instagram. Then you don't lose anything by working with them and giving them a shot and seeing like how much like traffic you're driving to their website or how many sales you're giving them, and building that relationship to then in the future be like, look, we've been working for the past 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 2 years. Let's try something new because you've shown results, you know? You've delivered.
Yeah, I want to hear from you.
I was going to actually say, I mean, look, when I said that, like, don't do that all the time, right? It really should be a brand that you're super excited about. Like, think about like Taco Bell, right? Like, they have influencers go in their tasting kitchen and you know, create things and meals, and they'll post about it. And that's really just establishing a stronger relationship with that brand. You shouldn't do it consistently. I think also don't be afraid to say no to them, right? And pass on something, because at the end of the day, if that brand really wants to engage with you and work with you, they'll come back to the table and offer you money.
part of that, I'm wondering whether, because a lot of influencers are, like, there's a whole micro influencer idea that, like, because the engagement is so much higher when you're a smaller influencer, a lot of companies are wanting to take more advantage of that. These days, and I think sometimes the smaller influencers, the number of people who are saying yes something that are like, this is how I earn my money.
There's definitely.
Where do we kind of find that in line?
There's definitely a thing where a lot of people do free stuff that shouldn't do free stuff. We also have a lot of people that charge a lot of money that shouldn't be charging that much money, and it ruins brands' experiences to giving money out. So I think it's having the right standards. For us, we recommend a hard line, which is basically if a brand creates a really great experience and gives you something you need, and it's additive, and you get to use it however you want with no guarantee of mentions or links or whatever, free product all day long. If the minute they want you to put a link, they want you to promote it or endorse it or do something that is driving where they're controlling the messaging, controlling something about it, that's a paid scenario.
Stand your ground, girlfriend.
One really quick question, and then we gotta wrap up.
You mean from the creator?
The brand side.
Yeah, I mean, I say that because I think, again, brands hearing from the creators directly about how excited they are about that brand and passionate they are about their products, X, Y, and Z, I think is really important. You know, I always tell my clients, if you really want to work with somebody, feel free to reach out to them. I'll give you their email. Send them a thoughtful email about why you love their products or why you love their brand and how you use it in your day-to-day, and loop me in on that, and then I can continue the conversation. So. Yeah, I mean, by the way, LinkedIn is your best friend. Go on LinkedIn and just search with brands, influencers, things like that. Half the time, that's how I find my own contacts.
We search for either head of digital marketing, director of social media, if they have an influencer actual like title, that's a great one. There's a tool called Apollo, which gives you like 100 or 1,000 free lead gen, and they index LinkedIn, and you can actually say, I want influencer in marketing in LA. Show me who has those titles, and they have the emails for it. We've tried that. It's been pretty great.
Twitter's your good friend, too.
Yeah.
So we're out of time, but we're going to give away this awesome Fast as Fuck book. So, Granny, do you want to do the honors?
Who really, really, really wants this? Amanda.
Awesome.
I'm not going to do anything with these cards. I'm not going to email you. I'm not going to bug you. I'm not going to do anything with them unless there's a note on the back of it, okay? I promise. Privacy. What's that?
Well, does anyone not want Granny to email them? Raise your hand. I think everyone wants you to email them.
Right? I want to hang out with Granny Potty Mouth.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you for great panelists. Stay tuned for the next panel coming up.